"Hey, Vince, you have to come over. Your dad had a heart attack." This client I worked with about 1.5 years ago was doing a speech competition, and there was a bit in the speech that he was sharing which had to do with his father's death. It was so interesting because he kept talking about this moment. His work was helping people understand their purpose in life, what they actually were. And he'd taken his father out to lunch once and showed him what his work was and took him through the whole process. And his dad at the very end, he asked him, like, "Who are you?" And his dad's like, "Well, I'm a teacher, I'm this, I'm that." And he said, "No, but really, who are you?" And his dad says, I'm love." And they both start crying, and it's a magical moment. But 2 weeks later, his dad dies of a heart attack. So it's obviously tragic. But the way he'd tell this story, I'd be so touched by the moment he was talking about the love, where I was on the verge of tears. But then for some reason, it almost got easier when he was talking about the death of his father. And we were wondering, like, what's happening here? What's wrong? And we realized that he was just saying, 2 weeks later, my dad died of a heart attack. And I was so happy that I had this opportunity to share what was so important to me in that moment 2 weeks before. And what we realized was, you're not allowing yourself to feel. You're not going into the detail. You're not there. You're just sharing the words. And there's an obvious reason in his case, right? Having to relive that is the opposite of what he wanted in the moment. But as a practice, we asked him, well, how did it go? Like, can you tell me about what you actually went through? And what followed was one of the most beautiful speeches I've ever heard in my life. Because he shared the "I am love" moment, and he shared what it meant to him. And then he said, and I remember very clearly 2.5 weeks later, I get a phone call from my mom, and she says, "Hey, Vince, you have to come over. Your dad had a heart attack." And I'm not gonna retell the whole story, but he started crying, we started crying, and it was so visceral, so real, because he allowed himself to relive that moment. And in doing so, he was later able to recall the words and what he needed to say to live through that emotion. And every time he shared it, the emotion that he had to go through came down a little bit, and he was able to participate in this speech competition and share his heart on the stage. And it was just remarkably powerful. When you're speaking and people are watching, sometimes it's hard to allow yourself to feel, to allow yourself to go there. Again, because your rational mind doesn't know what it's going to be like. And so because your mind doesn't like the uncertainty, it's putting on the brakes. It's saying, hey, wait, there's a risk here. We don't know what's happening. I want to encourage you to explore that. Because what you'll notice is that it's actually much better on the other side. It's much better when you start trusting not the mind, but the heart. And you start allowing yourself to take these little leaps of faith. And you're going to notice that suddenly you're going to be into your speaking, and it's going to feel like talking to your mom, your dad, your best friend. You're going to feel so into what you're sharing that you're almost going to wake up from it when you're done. And the people you will have shared that with will have had the privilege of seeing you and feeling you, and they're going to be moved. That's what speaking is all about.